fellow Toastmasters, bubbles. When I say bubbles to my kids, they come to me and say, "Daddy, I want to play with bubbles, give it to me, I want to blow bubbles." So in my mind, it conjures up images of children having fun, running behind bubbles, and popping bubbles, having a good time. So when we grow up, why are we so afraid of bubbles? And let me define what bubbles I am talking about. I'm talking about the economic bubbles we face every day in our lives. And the classic definition of a bubble is, an economic bubble is when a price of a commodity or asset goes up. And it could be real, it could be artificial. And it pops. And wealth disappears. So pop goes the bubble. We've had bubbles throughout the ages. If you go into history, you'll have bubbles in pretty much all the centuries. But let's talk about recent activities. Let's talk about things that have happened in the last 10 years with us and see if we can learn something from that. So the first bubble was the dot-com bubble. Kids out of school, kids out of college writing code in their garages and creating fancy dot-coms. And they were worth no revenue, giving out free service, and they were worth billions of dollars. Go figure. If you were buying a house and the rent that house could be given out for was zero, would you buy it? Probably not. But the dot-coms like Netscape bought AOL, respected names like Time Warner's, and they were multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500s. And as my kid can tell you, pop goes the bubble. So it's not surprising that the bubble burst, and billions and trillions of dollars of wealth was lost. Well, fortunately, I didn't have too much money invested in the dot-coms. I didn't have money to invest anyway in the first place. So life went on, and we as humans, we didn't have stuffs to buy, so we went and bought what? Guess what? Houses. So we bought houses. There was actually a channel. There was actually a channel on houses, Discovery Home. There used to be programs, Flip That House. And we used to watch it, and we went and buying houses. And the poor Canadians, and the Europeans, and the Chinese and the Indians who couldn't do anything because they couldn't buy the houses, they said, "Give the Americans the money, here are the dollars, go and buy more houses." And we used to buy more houses. So there was a bubble. It was also fueled by the fact that the mortgage in the US, the interest on the mortgage is tax deductible. So it's very cheap to buy houses, so the government was helping us. So there was a bubble. And guess again what happened? Pop goes the bubble. It burst again. We lost tons of money, trillions of dollars. So we put more money after it. The dollar is a weaker currency today. 10% of Americans are jobless. So now the question is are these bubbles really an anomaly, or are they a fact of life? Let's look in the future. Now you can't buy a house every day, can you? So you can buy other stuff. You buy a Wii, you buy a PlayStation, you buy clothes, and you rack up credit card debt. So 400 million Americans with a couple of $1,000s of credit card debt is $1 billion. Now if there are no jobs and you can't pay your debt, somebody's got to lose money because that money came from somewhere. And here, then you lose more money. Another bubble. Let's look more into the future. Not everybody wants to buy clothes. Does everybody want to buy clothes? Some people like to buy companies. Leverage buyouts. So when you take a large set of people and they buy companies, it's called a stock market. So you own 10 shares in GE. So that's a stock market. But when a small set of people buy a large company, it's called private equity. Now if I went to Anand and said, I want to buy GM, can you give me $1 billion? And I have nothing to give you. Anand will say, Al, you're out of your mind. I can't give you $1 billion even if I had it. But when I may say, well, if you can give me, if you can collateralize, if you can give me, if you're not able to pay me the money back, can I take GM? Can you give me GM as an asset? And I might say, yeah, sure, why not? I mean, it's not mine in the first place. So I take $1 billion, buy GM. And I say, Rene, the interest rates are low today, so I'll give you 5 years of low interest rate, and in 7 years if the interest rate rises, I'll give you more money. And that's fine. It's great until all the interest rates are low. Right? So when you talk about the housing bubble plus CDOs, collateralized debt obligations, when you talk about private equity firms, it's called CLOs, collateralized loan obligations. And in 2010 and 2011, those interest rates are going to reset. And if you look at the data, 300 of the Fortune 1000 in the US are held by private equity. They employ over 10 million Americans. Now, if there is a recession and they cannot sell their goods and services, they will not have more money to pay when the interest rate is reset higher. Guess what happens? Bankruptcy. And there are really no prizes to give out if you tell them what happens in a bankruptcy. People lose jobs. It's a vicious cycle. Now, are these bubbles an anomaly, or are they a fact of life? If they're a fact of life, and if we can accept them to be a fact of life, maybe we are just better off being like our children. When we see a bubble, we run after it, we have fun, we pop it, and we clap. Mr. Toastmaster.